Dear listeners, today's story takes us inside the heart of a father who learns that love, presence, and trust matter far more than money or distance. Set around Christmas, it is a story of a man who struggles with absence, pressure, and responsibility, and discovers that the greatest gift he can give is his unwavering presence. This tale explores family, trust, and the quiet power of a father's love, showing how even small actions can heal, unite, and strengthen a family. Listening to this story will help improve your English listening and speaking skills, while leaving you inspired and deeply touched by the journey of a father striving to reconnect with his children and the mother who holds them together. The title of today's story is A Father's Return, Love Beyond Distance. And now let us begin. Chapter 1, The Distance He Carried. Daniel sat on the edge of his small, rented room in the other city, the cold December air creeping in through the thin walls. Outside, the streets hummed with Christmas preparations, shop lights blinking, carolers practicing, and families bustling past, but inside, silence stretched long and heavy. He ran his hand over a worn photograph on the table, Emma, Lucas, and Lily smiling beneath the small paper stars they had hung last year. The memory was sharp and bittersweet. A pang of guilt cut through the usual stress of work, bills, and long commutes. He had left to provide, to make life easier for them, and yet every night he realized that providing wasn't the same as being present. Phone calls were short, visits rare, and even messages felt like obligations rather than conversations. He hated himself for it, but pride, pressure, and habit had kept him away. Just a few more weeks, he muttered under his breath, rubbing his tired eyes. Then Christmas, then I'll make it right. Work had been relentless that day, reports, deadlines, emails that never ended. He had barely noticed his own hands shaking from fatigue. And yet, in the quiet moments between tasks, thoughts of home invaded him, Lucas's serious eyes, Lily's infectious laughter, Emma's gentle smile. He remembered mornings at home, Emma making porridge, Lucas lingering over a drawing, Lily dancing in the kitchen humming a song he didn't recognize. He hadn't been there for months, but the memory was vivid. Daniel sighed, staring at the dim streetlights outside his window. He had promised himself that he was sacrificing for them, but now he wondered if they felt that sacrifice at all. Perhaps instead they only felt absence. He thought about Christmas, their small home, their paper stars, Emma's quiet strength. He imagined the children waking up to an empty table again, imagining presents that wouldn't be there. His chest tightened. He realized something he had been avoiding for months. Distance had never solved anything. And for the first time in a long while, he made a decision, not one of work, not one of money, but of presence. This Christmas he would go home, not just in thought, not just in phone calls, but in person. Because love, he understood now, was not about providing from afar, it was about showing up. Chapter 2, The Weight of Absence. The days passed slowly, each one heavier than the last. Daniel went through the motions of work, emails, meetings, phone calls, but his mind was always elsewhere, drifting to the small home he had left behind. He remembered Lucas sitting quietly at the kitchen table, his brow furrowed over schoolwork, and Lily humming a song she had learned at school, completely unaware of the tension that had quietly settled between their parents. He pictured Emma moving through their home with her usual calm efficiency, hiding exhaustion behind a gentle smile. Daniel felt guilty for all the things he had missed, the bedtime stories, the small victories at school, the laughter that Lily always tried to share. Every night he imagined the warmth of his home, and yet every night he stayed away, believing that his financial support was enough. But he knew it was. One evening, after a long day at work, he found himself staring at the photograph again. Lucas was holding a small toy car that Daniel had bought months ago but never delivered. Lily was smiling, her hair in pigtails, holding a paper star. And Emma, her eyes were soft but tired, she was carrying everything and he wasn't there. A heavy sigh escaped him. "I've been away too long," he whispered to himself. "I thought providing was enough, I was wrong." He started noticing little things in his rented apartment that reminded him of home, the smell of strong coffee in the morning, the cold winter wind brushing against his window, the faint sound of children laughing outside. Every small reminder was bittersweet. That night he tried calling Emma. His voice trembled slightly when she picked up. "Daniel," Emma said softly, trying to sound cheerful. I miss you all," he said honestly. "I miss being there." Emma paused. "We miss you too," she replied, "but you're doing your best." He swallowed hard, realizing that his best had created a space he hadn't intended, a space his children felt acutely. He hung up, staring at the phone. For the first time, Daniel understood love isn't just about doing, it's about being. And that understanding set the stage for a journey he could no longer postpone. This Christmas, he would not just send gifts or calls, he would come home. Chapter 3: The Journey Back. The night before Christmas Eve, Daniel packed his small bag with care. It wasn't a bag filled with gifts or fancy surprises, just essentials, warm clothes, and a quiet hope he had carried for weeks. Every item reminded him of home: a notebook he had promised Lucas, a small ribbon for Lily's hair, and a folded letter he had never sent to Emma. As he closed the zipper, a sudden wave of doubt hit him. What if they've forgotten me? What if the distance has broken something that can't be fixed? His heart thudded in his chest, each beat a mixture of fear and longing. He stepped outside into the cold night. Streetlights flickered along the empty roads. The city slept, unaware of the man walking toward a bus that would take him home, not just to a place but to his family. The bus ride was long and uncomfortable. The hum of the engine, the sway of the vehicle, and the occasional chatter of other passengers formed a backdrop to his thoughts. He replayed every missed dinner, every hurried call, every Christmas past where his absence had been felt more than his presence. He remembered Emma's quiet strength, how she managed everything without complaint, how she had always prioritized the children's happiness over her own. He felt a sting of regret. She never let me see the weight she carried, and yet she bore it all. Lucas's serious gaze, Lily's cheerful voice, they lived vividly in his mind. He pictured the small Christmas decorations they had made, the paper stars, the tiny branch serving as a tree, the warmth that only their home could provide. A lump rose in his throat. He realized with sudden clarity that the distance he had thought necessary had only grown the gap in his heart, and he would close it now not with gifts or words alone but with presence. Hours passed, each mile brought him closer, yet Daniel felt both anxious and hopeful. Will they recognize the man I've become? Will they forgive the man who was absent too long? As the bus rolled into their neighborhood just before midnight, church bells rang faintly in the distance. Lights blinked softly on neighboring houses. Snow or perhaps frost covered the rooftops. Daniel stepped off the bus, cold and weary yet filled with determination. He walked the familiar streets, each step echoing memories of laughter, arguments, and quiet evenings with Emma and the children. Finally, he stood before their small blue house. The window glowed with the flicker of Christmas lights. He could hear muffled singing, Lily no doubt leading Lucas in a carol. Taking a deep breath, Daniel lifted his hand to knock. His heart raced. One knock, two knocks. The door opened. Emma stood there, her eyes wide with surprise, caught between disbelief and recognition. The children peeked from behind her, their expressions a mixture of shock and cautious joy. For a long moment no one spoke. Time seemed to pause. Then Daniel whispered, barely audible, I came home." And in that instant, the long months of absence, the regrets and the fears began to melt, replaced by hope, love, and the first true steps toward reunion. Chapter 4: Finding the Quiet Moments. The house felt smaller with Daniel inside, yet somehow fuller. The familiar creak of the floorboards, the faint smell of Emma's cooking, the muted chatter of the children, everything seemed alive in a way it hadn't for months. He hesitated in the doorway as Lily ran to him, her small arms wrapping around his legs. Lucas stayed back, observing, his brow furrowed with caution. Daniel knelt down, hugging Lily tightly, feeling the warmth and trust that had never truly left, even in his absence. I missed you, he whispered, his voice cracking. Emma stood nearby, quiet, watching. She didn't need to speak, her eyes said it all. Welcome back, but this is not yet easy. Daniel understood. Presence alone could not erase months of distance. He had to rebuild slowly, carefully, with honesty and patience. That evening, Daniel joined Emma and the children in preparing for Christmas. He didn't take over. He didn't try to fix what wasn't broken. Instead, he chopped vegetables for the soup, helped Lily hang paper stars, and quietly listened to Luca's talk about his school day. Every small task felt monumental. Every laugh from the children, every smile from Emma was a reminder that being present was more powerful than any gift he could have bought. Later, as they sat for dinner, the small table felt crowded, not with objects, but with the unspoken understanding that they were together. Daniel noticed the little things he had missed: the way Lily carefully poured water for everyone, Lucas's precise placement of napkins, Emma's habit of tasting the soup before serving. He realized that love, quiet and persistent, had kept the home standing while he had been away. And now, it was his turn to contribute with his presence and care, not with distance or excuses. That night, as he lay in the small guest bed, Daniel thought about the coming days. Christmas morning would be simple. Gifts would be handmade, laughter would fill the air, and yet, in the simplicity, he knew they would find richness beyond anything money could provide. For the first time in months, he felt hope. Hope that the distance he had carried could be bridged. Hope that trust once frayed could be mended. Hope that Christmas would not just be a date on the calendar, but a moment when their family truly reunited. Chapter 5: Christmas Morning. Christmas morning arrived with a quiet brilliance. The sun barely peeked over the rooftops, but the soft light spilled into the small house, illuminating familiar corners with a gentle glow. Outside, the neighborhood shimmered faintly with frost and tiny Christmas lights, reflecting the quiet magic of the day. Daniel woke early, careful not to disturb the children. He dressed slowly, his mind running over every detail of the house, the family, the months he had missed. Each breath felt heavier with responsibility, each heartbeat louder with anticipation. From the kitchen, he heard soft footsteps, Emma moving about, humming a tune she always sang when she worked. He paused in the doorway, watching her prepare the simple breakfast. The warmth of her presence, even after months apart, made the distance feel more real than ever, and yet here he was, finally home. The children woke soon after. Lily ran to him, still rubbing sleep from her eyes, while Lucas followed, more hesitant but curious. Daniel knelt, letting them climb onto him. "I can't believe you're here," Lily whispered, her voice muffled in his sweater. Daniel hugged her tightly. "I'm here and I'm not leaving." They all gathered around the small Christmas tree, a branch in a glass bottle adorned with paper stars, hand-drawn ornaments, and bits of ribbon. It was imperfect, but it was theirs. Daniel smiled, seeing not emptiness but everything that mattered. Breakfast was simple. Warm bread, a bowl of porridge, and tea brewed slowly, but every bite carried significance. They talked, laughed, and shared little jokes that had accumulated over weeks apart. Daniel listened to Lucas recount a school story, smiled at Lily's creative imagination, and finally felt the weight of absence begin to lift. Emma joined them, her eyes soft and steady. She didn't need words to remind him how much she had held together. Instead, she smiled, offering small touches of warmth, a hand on his shoulder, a quiet laugh, a gentle nod when the children showed something new. Daniel realized that love isn't always grand gestures. Sometimes it is showing up, being present, and letting small moments grow into something meaningful. By midday, the little house was filled with laughter, stories, and quiet joy. Daniel caught himself glancing at Emma, thinking, she has carried so much. Now it's my turn to carry too. That Christmas morning, Daniel understood something profound. Gifts weren't in packages or money. Gifts were time, presence, and trust, things he had missed giving and now had the chance to restore. Chapter 6: Honest Conversations and Rebuilding Trust. The house was quiet again, but this time it wasn't empty. Daniel and Emma sat across from each other at the small dining table, the soft glow of Christmas lights flickering on the walls. Outside, the faint sounds of children laughing from nearby homes drifted in through the window. Daniel took a deep breath. Emma, I need to say something, he began, his voice low, hesitant. I know I've been away too long. I thought providing for you all was enough, but I realize now it was. Emma looked at him, her expression calm but serious. I know you were trying, she said softly, but absence doesn't protect love, it strains it, and I've carried so much alone. He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. I've missed so many moments, so many small things that mattered more than money. I want to fix it. I want to be here, really here from now on. Emma's eyes softened. We can rebuild, she said, but it will take honesty, presence, and patience. Trust doesn't return overnight. Daniel reached for her hand. I'll do anything it takes, he said, his voice steady now, full of resolve. That night, the children watched quietly from the sofa, sensing the change. Lucas felt a strange relief, a weight lifted that he hadn't fully understood until now. Lily rested her head on Daniel's shoulder, feeling warmth she had missed for months. They didn't speak much more that night. Words were unnecessary. Actions, presence, and sincerity carried the meaning. The family sat together, not perfect, not free of worries, but united in a way that months of absence could never break. Daniel realized that being a father wasn't just about providing for the family. It was about being present, patient, and trustworthy, showing love not in grand gestures but in everyday choices. That Christmas Eve, a quiet miracle happened. Distance melted, love was reaffirmed, and trust began to grow again. For the first time in months, Daniel felt fully home. Chapter 7: A Family United. Christmas morning dawned softly, casting pale light through the small windows of the house. The air was crisp and filled with the quiet magic of winter. Daniel woke early, feeling a calm he hadn't known in months. He looked around the small bedroom, the modest walls, the worn furniture, and felt something new, belonging. Downstairs, Emma was already moving quietly in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. The children stirred, excited by the glow of the small Christmas lights they had hung the night before. Lucas peeked out from under his blanket, his eyes bright with cautious hope, while Lily ran to Daniel with arms wide open. I'm here, Daniel said softly, kneeling to hug Lily. I knew you'd come, she whispered, smiling against his chest. Lucas approached slowly but then ran into his father's side. Daniel embraced both children at once, feeling the warmth of trust and love returning in small but powerful moments. The family gathered around their small Christmas tree, a thin branch adorned with paper stars and handmade ornaments. Daniel looked at it and smiled, realizing that richness wasn't in decorations or presents but in presence, care, and shared love. Breakfast was simple: warm bread, porridge, and tea, yet it was perfect because the family was together. Laughter filled the room, stories were shared. Lucas recounted a small school victory. Lily sang her favorite Christmas carol and Daniel joined in, laughing alongside her for the first time in months. Emma watched quietly, a soft smile on her face. She had carried so much and now, for the first time, she didn't carry it alone. That Christmas, Daniel learned the deepest truth of fatherhood. Love is not just about providing, it is about showing up, being present, and building trust every day. And in that small home with modest gifts and handmade decorations, something miraculous happened. The family was whole again. Lucas and Lily understood that happiness didn't need wealth, it only needed love. And Daniel and Emma realized that their quiet patience and care had created a home filled with warmth, trust, and hope. Years later, they would remember this Christmas not for the presents, but for the moment their hearts truly came together. Because a father's love, like a mother, fights quietly, endures challenges, and when given freely, helps love grow, unite, and prosper. The end. Thank you for listening to this story. We hope it reminded you of the quiet, powerful love of a father and the importance of presence and trust in a family. If this story touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more inspiring and heartwarming stories every day. Stay with us to listen to a new story every day, filled with love, hope, and life lessons. Until next time, remember, the greatest gift a father can give is his presence, love, and unwavering trust.